I agree. I'm a dope.
Yeah, no, she's crazy. She is totally nuts.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
All right. Come on now. On it. Bow. Oh, that's no good. How about up here? How about... Yeah. This is fine. And I just gotta move the alert box so that doesn't get stepped on. Bow. All right, let's... What happens? I'm just gonna. This button scares me a little bit, but I'm gonna push it. Here it comes because it's a huge crowd gathering.
Even outside, it's packed.
I know. You don't have to tell me. I was there.
It's a malware called QSnatch.
Right. That's what took me down last time.
We have to slam it.
Well, that's your idea of a good time. Now, all right. Serious show, seriousness. Seriously, oh, you weren't supposed to see me like that. That's just my behind the scenes. I was wearing a hat last night, so everybody freaked out. So I thought I'd pick a hat that was a little better for a lot of you guys. Jolene, please don't take my man. Hi everybody. Hello. Sorry, serious news. Seriously, getting to the news and seriously newsing up the play. Man, I'm uplit. This guy's turned too much. I gotta turn this one out a little bit. That's a little better. Gee whiz. You can see like the light bouncing off my hand because I have to bounce more off the green screen. What's with this dead pixel? That's not good. And the blue, this lovely blue. There's that. You're gonna be staring at that. Oh, I know what that is. It's. I was messing around with the stream last night, obviously. And I think Tara Dublin is with us this morning at the hi. It's HAL Sparks Mondays, Mega Worldwide. Bear with me for a second. It's it's just the kind of show we do. It's just how we show. It's what we do in terms of our show. And I'm guessing Tara is good for our second hour. Just making sure. Excellent. Good morning, CSL. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to all of you. And I mean that not only as a wish, but as an order. That's right. I am ordering you to be happy. You're thinking, Hal, that's fascism. Yes, but it's a happy fascism. And I'd like to point that out to you, that it's a kind of fascism that, doesn't have like sharp-shouldered uniforms and that kind of stuff. It's sort of, think of it as clown suit fascism. And you're like, Hal, I've seen Trump in a blue suit. That's kind of looks like clown suit fascism to me. I agree, but his shoes are far too tiny for that. So I'm just saying that as a scientist who also did porn once said, I get off on a technicality. So yes, that is a lawful order from Colonel Sparks, and this is my attempt at Glenn Beck style Saddam Hussein branding. Suck on that, you heathens. Anyways, 59.6K. We're so close. Right out of the gate, if you could, while you're sitting there, while you're getting your coffee together or what have you. Hit the like, just like the stream. If you're on Facebook, please use one of the emojis in the little descriptor for the thing, preferably one that's angry and looks like you're having a joyless morning, because apparently that does us the best on there. And of course on Twitch, you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. It doesn't cost you a dime, but you can also just throw some bits in there. Just watching does it on Twitch. Like, they're so desperate for audience on Twitch that it's enough that you're just here, and I appreciate it. Subscribing helps a lot. We're way down on our subscribers on Twitch because I stopped pushing it, quite frankly. I just felt like it was a bit of a Sisyphusian issue. I was making that case, but I think we got to make that case again, kids. I think we got to start building this empire, for fuck's sake, because I'm sick and tired of the fact that Russell Brand has 6 credible sexual assault allegations against him and a million subscribers. And I love every single 59.6 thousand of you. But I think we definitely got to make an effort. We got to make a renewed push by the end of the year to at least crest me over the 60 point. So like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, pass it around, share, hit that like button right now. Boost us up in the algorithms. Which, not to be confused with Aldo Nova or what's it all about, Algo. All right, I'm being a little silly this morning. I'm actually being a lot silly this morning because there's a lot to be silly about. There is a giant fire in Moscow, which I know is funny, if I do say so my damn self. There is some news to catch you guys up on in Gaza and the like, which is obviously, it's a difficult topic, let's just say, but one that we need to kind of keep up on, because I feel like if you don't, see, here's the problem with good, lovely people like yourselves, really having it up to here with bad news and ugliness, is that in the mix of seeing the ugly stuff, that's also where, at least in my experience, you pick up the information that can rebut the awful people amongst us. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Oh, you know what I mean? You can push back on a lot of the more vile responses around the Ukraine war, around what's going on in Israel, and you can also, if you're not uncomfortable, if you can, and I know this isn't for everybody, but if you can put your kind of emotions aside in certain news stories, it allows you to convey that news. This is what, the lack of bias in journalism, or the attempted lack of bias in journalism. The goal of it ultimately is that so you can report the news without fear or favor, but also so you can get through it, especially when it's difficult. right? Which is why I believe that, like, the Sudan story, for example, has just disappeared off of everyone's radar because it's really difficult. It's incredibly painful. Like, I am want to bring it up with you guys on occasion, and yet it's a lot. Your emotions suck today. I'm sorry, Vincent. We'll fix that, man. I'm here for you. I'm not afraid. I'll do whatever it needs to happen. Because seriously, I think the important thing is that you know that I don't take your anxieties and your fears for granted, and there's a depth with which I want you to know that I respect and honor the validity of your fifis. And in the process of doing that, I want you to know that instead of trying to help you out of it, I think the best is in the old Churchillian way, if I can say that. And a Churchillian is a small furry animal that is often killed for its pancreas in traditional Chinese medicine, which is very sad. They take it, they catch the Churchillians, they perform a small surgery removing their pancreas, and then they release them back in the wild to fend for themselves. It's very terrible. But in that, concept of if you're going through hell, keep going, Vincent. I'll go through hell with you. As a matter of fact, I will hopefully, if I can, take you further down into hell so you can go, you know what? I didn't have it so bad back there. I'm going to go back up the trail a little way where the heat wasn't so bad. So, anyways, but seriously, folks, ladies and germs, yeah, lots of news to cover here. Now for more sadness. My favorite thing in the news has always been what I would call the morning jerk around. That it may be different in your neighborhood. On the morning news, where they tell you a very, very sad story about a very serious piece of news that happened. And then after our break, Carla's going to show us how to make a soft taco. Now, a soft taco, why would someone make I would always like the crunchy ones. They're delicious, and I've always enjoyed that, but it's so cumbersome and that kind of stuff. So tell me about this soft taco stuff after I've just heard about a madman in a car who ran through a market yesterday, right? Yes. Tacos, but first, sadness and sorrow. So that kind of like jerk the wheel emotions. I know, 59.6K. We only need 400 more subscribers-ish. So subscribe today if you're so inclined over there on the U's and the tubes, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. So all right, where in the world do we start? It's hard to even know where to begin this morning, other than the fact, I guess, well, we'll do this. Couple of things right here. This would be let's see if I can get this news. I don't know why this stupid thing wants to, these stupid Temu ads. I hate it. But, first, actually, you guys. Hi, chat room. How are you? Good to see you this fine morning. By God. It's an odd joke for him to make, but I did visit a chinchilla farm as a kid. Chinchillas are cute little animals raised and murdered for their skins. Technically for their fur. It's if it was just skin, it'd be, nobody skins a hairless cat. You know what I'm saying? It'd just be weird. So, yes, the fur is the crucial part, I would say. If they weren't furry, you would just leave them alone. Without the fur, they kind of look like mole rats, I'm guessing. Whatever. Oh, sorry. Radiolane Abdaro is tired. I'm sorry, everyone. Keep it down. Please keep the show to an absolute minimum this morning. Some people are just waking up. Other people, it's the afternoon. And some people in Australia, it's yesterday. And I'd like to welcome our Australian time travelers who are here from yesterday. I appreciate it. Now, some of you might say that because, it's night or day someplace else, that it's always the future. And then since the world spins, they're ahead of us, even when they're behind. But no, not quite. And Republicans never wake up. This is sort of true. Speaking of mole rat, what the ever-loving shit? Okay, so black smoke over Moscow, mega fire spreads rapidly. This is Z Live News, but it's in a bunch of this place. It's 6 p.m. Good on you. You're watching HAL in bed. I'm not in bed right now. What are you? Oh, I see. You're in bed and you're watching me. I was confused. I thought you were you had some sort of like footage. Anyways, yeah, big fire started at a car park and it's just burning. According to reports, fire broke out in a car factory in Moscow, affecting an area about 1,000 square meters. There are no official statements yet because it's just a fire in Moscow. Many sudden fires in Russia lately. A car factory in Moscow is on fire. According to eyewitnesses, the fire is spreading rapidly. The post on the X channel posted a video purported to show the fire with black smoke rising into the sky. And there you go again. And ladies and gentlemen, over here we have fire. Is burningness. Yes. I think the place where I buy cars on fire. No. This you had yours shipped in. Yours was special order. That is where the idiot people buy their cars, of course, where we have already rigged explosives to them, so that if they ever say something bad, we just have button to push. Because trying to sneak into everyone's car and put the car bomb is a lot of work. You know what I mean? And sorry to tell you, President, that not everyone is nice enough to stand near a window. Sishui, thank you for resubbing for 31 months, just hanging in there. One of our early, our people who, I guess, do we have like an ancient substrata, the fossil layer of HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide supporters? Definitely there. We can carbon 14 dates some of our supporters soon. Now, this is nuts. This part, and I would save this for Wednesday, but holy shit. 7, this is, okay. In the last week, remember how we were like, oh shit, they're reaching 300,000, and oh my God, what a turn, you know? That was, you know, a big date. And you can recall, like, when I think it was 2,500 soldiers in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, when we hit that number, and the big, like, you remember that? Yes, that's a real number. I would argue an undercount, but Putin just called up like 15% more soldiers. I don't know where the fuck they're gonna get them from, because they keep a good portion of the people who are showing up at the like front line right now in certain areas are abducted migrants who are inside the country, who are given a choice: fight on the front lines or go to jail for being a migrant, whatever. Imagine, if you will, if Donald Trump was president. I know, it's hilarious. Again, I mean, it wasn't hilarious when he was, but it would be hilarious if he was again, because he's not going to be. But imagine that. And his idea for, we get attacked by Mexico. Nah, Mexico wouldn't be a good example in this particular case, but Canada. We get attacked by Canada. And he decides to abduct anyone who's in the country illegally. Will be rounded up, and you can either be deported back to your own country, put in jail, or deported, or you can fight Canada. Now, I know it's Canada, not, you know, the Ukrainians who can actually fight, and I know it's, you know, no offense to the Canadians, good folks or whatever, but they're very nice. They're painfully nice, except when they're dicks, but that's another thing. Their truckers tend to be dicks, which is weird. Anyways, I'm just kidding. So, like, if Trump rounded up a bunch of, like, you know, immigrant fathers, brothers, and sons, and just said, if you don't fight, we're gonna shovel your family back to Dagestan or someplace like that. That idea. I'm kidding, Greg. Playing with you. I'm if for those of you who don't know, I'm Canadian by injection. I lived in Canada for 6 years, doing 5 seasons of Queer as Folk. So I love Canada. I enjoyed it. I have so many heartfelt feelings about Canada that I can't even have Vladimir Putin on the screen when I talk about the place. I love it that much. Although I will say it's very difficult for me to go to certain areas in Toronto and Montreal without crying, because of all the emotional stuff I went through doing that show and on a personal level. So yeah. Just pretty cool in that regard. Okay, now let me bring up my other story with you guys. Toronto's a lot like New York, except cleaner. Look out, Moms Russo. Get out of here. And watch yourselves. All right. Here, I'll open up this guy. Let's see. Hold on one second. We all have our regrets, really? That's right. Do we though? Yeah. So there are a couple of things that, Jesus Christ, it's so very odd. Hold on. I'll show you this. Like, because there's so many like bizarre sideline stories this morning that are just kind of like, they did what now? But there we go. And yeah, here you go. So Trump has attacked De Niro this morning. Let's see if I can find this though. There we go. Here's hold on, you stupid. Accept. Okay. Get out of here. Boink. I don't have to log in, you moron. Back up. I guess I do. Okay. So anyways, this is I don't want to. That's the thing. Robert De Niro is oh wait, shit. I got to scroll this down so you can see it. Check this out for a second. Robert De Niro is a mental midget whose mind is shot. Okay, first of all, why is mental midget in quotes? Secondly, midget? Really? Really? This asshole can't insult somebody without dunking? What are you, Karl Marx? For those of you who don't know, the only way Karl Marx could find a way to insult Jewish people more was by calling them the N-word. Yeah. That they were, yeah. Yeah. It's adorable. Anyways, for that reference. And whose life is a total train wreck. All right, Mr. Three Marriages. And also, I think the total train wreck part is because he was sued by a personal assistant, and he took her to court. He actually went through the process. He didn't just settle or whatever. And then I think he ended up having to pay damages or she got some producer fee off of something else, but she got about $1.2 million, I think. Very much like crooked Joe Biden, who can't put two sentences together. The good news is that this crude and very stupid animal has lost all credibility. And again, animal is also in quotes. It's fucking odd. It's just odd. It's very okay. And Andre, I'm glad to hear you're healing well. I'm just saying, I just wanted to throw that in there. And happy Motang Monday to everybody. And for those of you that don't know,
Michigan gave us Motang, gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang.
Absolutely, but it's Biden that can't put two sentences together. Now, CSL, obviously, we're going to have a new drop. Let's see if I can grab this from. Yeah, I've got to go back to me real quick, 1 second, and then create another screen and do this thing and pop this out of here and then bring this up there. I was messing around with the stream last night, so I got a lot of things to cover. Is that, and back to the chat. Hi, there you are. That, let's see. I have to go back to Truth Social on here because I don't know why, but it doesn't like I guess he just hates Bing. Whoops. Let me go back to here. And there we go. This guy. There you go. Now I can get the whole thing, I think. Hold on. It's so weird. Like just some browsers, you can see all the Truth SoCal stuff. But also, can I real quick? I mean, we're like a couple of things. One is Trump said recently, like, we've been trying to destroy democracy, and that quote's been floating around. We're going to probably need a drop because we've already got this guy.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Understand that Trump inverts in a Freudian slip manner, a lot of these kind of phrases. I mean, they should avoid this kind of language around anything because he'll turn it inside out like a fucking Maynard from Tool lyric. So okay. Check. Okay, so one of the things is, and this is the conversation we've got to have, kids. It's pronounced,
The
Burmesia.
Burmesia executives. So this Burmesia, they say, pronounce it Burmesia.
Yeah, no one says that. No one's ever said that. That's just him covering his ass. Anyways, so let's be abundantly clear. As I've said before, if you see, and I've been following a lot of stuff from Gaza and watching a lot of horrible video on Telegram and elsewhere posted by Hamas and their ilk, because again, you could argue fog of war or propaganda if all you hear about Hamas is from the IDF. But if you check out what Hamas actually posts, it's worse. I didn't think that would be possible, but it's worse. It's worse than what the IDF says about what Hamas wants. It's gotten worse. It was always bad, but it's gotten worse. And that's going to be an issue because I think while the Israelis are trying to, because the United States is putting pressure on them, as is the EU and members in the UN are saying we need to work towards a two-state solution, and maybe it's the Palestinian Authority or the PLO or some other group that oversees them and all that kind of stuff that can take over Gaza. That while that pressure's on Israel, there is none of that pressure on the Hamas side of things, at least in the Gaza area. Palestinian protesters swarmed a Jewish-owned restaurant in Center City, Philadelphia last night. Yeah, they're doing it in New York and that kind of stuff. And by the way, for the record, kids, it ain't helping. To all the people who are protesting on behalf of Hamas by being, you'd almost think it was a psyop. It's so badly done. Like, these people look like such anti-Semitic assholes and violent and gross that it doesn't help the cause. Like, it's so bad and so poorly done and so vile that you'd almost think like, oh, this is probably some Jewish plot to make the Palestinians look bad. It's that bad, okay? And I would say that this has nothing to do with Palestinians in general. This has nothing to do with Jews or Israelis or both or either, because there are Arab Israelis and Christian Israelis and that kind of thing. There are no Jewish Palestinians, though, just for the record, which is weird. But anyways, so looking at the sort of language used by Hamas around, what they planned and what they would continue to do and stuff, and how they're kind of doubling down on it. And of course, watching that stuff, you get it right from the horse's mouth, as it were. And one of the things that struck me in listening to this, this will relate to football in just a moment. One of the things that struck me about the two storylines, and I'm curious about this from the chat room. I want to hear from you guys. There are three phrases that are used about Gaza specifically, but the Palestinian territories as a whole. And that is, one is genocide, the other one is apartheid, and the other one is open air prison. The idea that Gaza specifically, not the West Bank, but Gaza is, quote, an open air prison. They're Quaker Palestinians. I don't think so. Right? That you guys have heard that. Like, that's one of the biggest, open air prison. That's the open air prison. Here's my question about this, and this has been bugging me. If Israel surrounded Gaza on all sides, if Gaza was, say, farther north, and there was Israeli territory to the south of it, it seems like there would be a case for that. But the problem is that the bottom part, the bottom of Gaza, the strip itself, empties out into Egypt. So is Egypt participating in the open air prison as much as Israel is? is Egypt as much to blame or responsible for Gaza being a quote open air prison? If it is, and it's kind of a trick question, but it's right. Egypt, yes, Egypt won't let them in. Now we get why the idea is that the Israelis are, that whole territory around the Sinai and south of Gaza and all that kind of stuff. Egypt had that for a little while, or Israel had it for a little while. Egypt took it back, that kind of stuff. But so if it is an open air prison, then Egypt is as much, I guess, involved in making it so as Israel is, I guess, in that theory. And why would they do that? Why? Why does Egypt not want, a fluid exchange between the Palestinian territory of Gaza and Egypt on the regular? Arab to Arab, whatever it is. Because Egypt doesn't necessarily have a great relationship with Israel. There's sort of a, there is a truce-like behavior between them. And does that make sense? So I'm curious about that description, the open air prison, that no one brings in, like Israel and Egypt have turned Gaza into an open air prison. Does that make sense? Like that would be the language around it if it was true. If you're going to view it as an open air prison, then unless it's surrounded on all sides by the one group, then Egypt participates in the open air prison part, equally to Israel. It would have to, because again, a border's a border's a border. So if it is less porous a border, and it is, technically speaking, this is the interesting part. More Gazans interact in Israel or had work permits and were allowed to come and go before October 7th than are allowed to come and go on the Egypt border. That's the part I've been wrestling with lately in people's just description of it as an open air prison and this idea, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the description, but, in trying to find the argument for it or just hearing it used, I think it's the part that it's just used flippantly as often as it is, that it made me want to dig deeper into it. Does that make sense? So again, if you're going to discuss Gaza as an open air prison, it would seem to me that you would have to say, at least say, Egypt and Israel have turned Gaza into an open air prison. It is thanks to Egypt and Israel. Does that make sense? Egypt and Israel are responsible for it being an open air prison. Because again, the Egyptian border is less porous to Palestinians than the other borders that are inside that align with Israel. Yes? Just on a factual basis. It is more frequently more Palestinians, and this is just me looking into this. More Palestinians have been able to go into Israel than go into Egypt to work and interact with people and I guess whatever. Yeah. So in the open air prison idea, technically speaking, the hardest wall on the prison is the one that leads to Egypt. Yeah. The other thing is that because, and this goes to like the Jordanian side of the West Bank versus Israel, because nobody's ever said that about Jordan and the West Bank. Nobody says the West Bank is an open air prison because the border with Jordan is enormous. Let's see if I can bring up the map of the area. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah. Let's pop this in, get that out of the way, black this out. Okay, so yeah. All right. So I wish it was nice if it had bigger borders, but what are you gonna what are you gonna do? I'll show you. Here we go. So this is Israel right here. Okay, this is the North Sinai down here. This is all Egypt. Here's Gaza. There's Rafah, which is the border part, and El Arish and all this stuff. Not only can our Palestinians blocked from going out this way, but if they go around it out into the water, in theory they'll get killed. And there's Cairo and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why they don't care. Like Egypt can play a little fast and loose is because this is pretty desolate terrain. The Sinai is rough. So the idea is that if it wasn't on the water, let's say Gaza, that Israel was turned sideways and the land had been down over here into what is like Jordan and this area, and it dumped out into this area, it wouldn't be a factor. It wouldn't matter on a logistical level who's blocking this border, because nobody would leave and you would just go out into the desert, and it wouldn't help. You couldn't escape to anybody. But anywhere, rather. And so here's Rafah right here, and this little crossing, this business right here. But you'll notice this little road right here, and this little travel route or whatever, is mainly for aid stuff that goes into the country. It doesn't go the other way. Like, this is, honest to God, like between boats and shipping, this is where like UN supplies come in. They come in through here, and then I guess largely over here too. And there's a blockade on boats, and you'll notice that sometimes aid boats will come up to the outside of it, and Israel has a problem with that. And that's because once you start that, it's hard to tell who's who, and so it's better to do it on land because it's easier to check. You don't have to send a boat out into the water, and then everybody's in danger of getting killed and blah blah blah. So again, just this has just been during this whole process, this part's been bugging me. That this area right here, and by the way, see this green area right here where it stops? Right here. Hold on. See this? Where it's just kind of like green right up to this edge. That's the edge of, that's Israel. That's Gaza. Gaza starts there, and then the green just stops. Part of this is because of the industry that has grown up around supporting the Gazans through international aid and other stuff, and just like literally having to pump water in there for the ongoing feeding of goods into there has created this kind of like on the southern border that Title 42 created the influx of cartels and human trafficking, because now that people could try a bunch of times, and if they got rejected and sent back to Mexico, they could try again without it going on their permanent record. That the cartels just started to exploit that. And the first time you come up, you pay and you go across. But if you get caught, they send you back, and they go, okay, well, if you can't pay this time, they'll either sexually exploit the women or make you carry a package. You're going to take drugs for us. You're going to go across. We'll help you carry across, but you're going to commit a crime on top of it and do it multiple times. And if you want your family, you're going to have to take this package across. You drop that package off. Then you're going to have to come back out. Then we'll help you and one more come across. And then you'll do it a bunch of times. So you get your wife in or your kids in or what have you. So that's why you see a lot of, when you see males with their kids at the border, it's because they're bringing them across in exchange for whatever contraband they were bringing or what have you, and just trying to get the kids in and then go back for the wife, as it were. And it's a matter of like surviving the territory. There's a bunch of that, they've been talking about down at the border. So anyways, the buildup at the border caused by Title 42 was like the sub-industry, right? It was like a new business model that popped up directly because of COVID and Title 42, right? send all the refugees to Los Angeles, they're eventually absorbed. Yeah, not exactly, but in the surrounding area, there's an argument where they, it's not that like they're absorbed. They adapt fairly well. It just depends on where they're from. Because a lot of them, again, at the border at this point, because you've got Koch brother related NGOs putting ads in South America saying, send, the border's open, make a run for it, make a run for the border. But there's this area right here, Qsem, Rafah, and all this kind of stuff. Look how it just dies right at the edge of Gaza. And that's because largely this is partially artificial. This is because they built up an industry point. And this is another dumb example, but you know how Iowa is like, it used to be kind of a crazy little caucus place where people would go and campaign and, and it just, every 4 years or so for about 2 months, the place would turn into a circus and then it would fade away or whatever. And then people realized that, oh shit, this actually happens on the regular, and between the primary season, I should just fucking move down here and set up shop. And now there's like a sub industry in both Iowa and New Hampshire that's sort of like the kickoff election industry in the United States. Like people just set up shop, right, to live there and work there because, you got about almost like I guess the people on Cape Cod who, have like winter when people go up there to summer or what have you, like that kind of thing, but around politics. See, Palestinians all throughout 1948 till present day were in no position to overthrow any government. They were just trying to live and eat since the reckless Balfour Declaration. Well, the Palestinians at that point included Israelis, what would be Israelis? Jews, Arabs, Christians, large group of people. Now, at least under Hamas, they are almost solely Arab and specific Arab. Again, and it starts getting narrower and narrower. I always flip flop the Shia versus Sunni idea, but Hamas has like categorical. I don't know if I could find the map of the places where let's see, Israeli safe zones, because they posted this as well. I'm going to show you this as well. Yeah. See, 600. Trying to find the. Oh, that's 2020. Hold on. Let's see. Map. Search. There we go. I'm gonna go back to this. Because there are areas the Israeli Palestinian Gaza zones helps. There you go. Okay, this is. Let's see if they post. Where the hell? Why would you even talk about it in an article unless you Israeli Defense Forces? What? Leave it to like Fox News on Yahoo to not even post the friggin' things. Okay. Yeah. So let's see if this guy right here. Yeah, I'll show you this zone. So essentially, the Israelis have created. I'll open up with this one. The Israelis have created a zone map, and it's hard. It's like this. It looks like smoke on these things, but these are smaller and smaller sections of these areas where safe and no-go zones and that kind of thing. And if you're and they published this map and said, okay, if you're in these sectors, just know your sector. And if we tell you the sector's going to be hit because they're hiding underneath you, bug the fuck out. But you're good here, 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 you're good here. Like you're good up through here, all through the center part here. There's this break point here. And really it's just about, you can see, it's almost like, if you looked at a map of New York and you look for subway stations, right? You would find like strategic points where you would come in and out of tunnels in a subway. that's very much what they're shooting at. It appears. So, go back to you guys. Hi. What's up, Boston Brian? How's it going, man? We got to get you on here to talk about this because the strategizing of this is fascinating to me. Let's see. Maybe this is guy. Okay, here we go. Guys, I want to see the newest one though. This might be it. Well, here I'll. I don't want that one. Stupid. View image. There we go. So, yeah, it looks much more similar to this in the abstract. Hold on one second. This guy right here. So, these are the these are the hot zones. Obviously, this corridor, this road passes through a couple of these places, which makes it very dangerous. But if you're leaving here to here and you get through this area, like the idea is that you can walk this in, I don't know, what is it, 8 hours altogether, and they're still functioning cars and stuff. But all this area, this area, this area, this area, this area, all this yellow stuff is not being hit because there's no tunnel system underneath it effectively. Now, there's still Hamas fighters there, but they're not bombing those areas because it's not a structural dig in. Yep. I wish I live in Jersey where there's a New York style sub is in 40 years of New York City. Now I'm in nowhere. Oh yeah. Well, believe me. I mean, I like LA's system. It just doesn't yet go everywhere I need to go because the minute it did, Jesus, even considering it's an earthquake zone, I'd be on that thing all the time. I mean, San Francisco has a fairly decent, the BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit, which I'm so glad the Fresno area doesn't have one of those. I would totally use LA's all the time. But you can see that, in these portions, this is a broader map than the one I showed you before, but this is very similar. And the areas are now smaller. They're not hitting all these areas. These are just the generalized zones of where Hamas is situated. Of course, because, again, this is like when Republicans talk about all the violent crime in cities. And but that's also where, as Dylan Moran would say, where all the coffee, sex, and conversation is as well. BART is damn expensive. Well, it's also expensive to maintain. Not as expensive to maintain as the New York subway system, which is subsidized and cheaper than it should be. But then again, it's the balance of keeping cars off the road and making sure that ambulances can fucking get someone. At some point, New York is just going to have to create sort of like a Gotham style monorail thing for emergency services, just so that they can get anywhere to get people out, or they've got to get those flying taxis to be ambulances and just go, all right, we got an injury or something like that. We got to fly in one of these fuckers and pick somebody up and take them out so that we don't have to worry about traffic, which may be the single best use of those traffic systems or the flying taxi systems out there. So big conversations happen in the chat. Babies did not murder Jews. What? Babies did not murder Jews. Yes, and I don't know why Hamas left them behind on purpose, other than the fact that they may have just killed the people who were refusing to leave without them. Again, a grain of salt. Everything with a grain of salt. And Hamas did actively. There's a difference, again, unless you believe that people should get capital punishment for a DUI or an accidental death, or even, I guess, depraved indifference. If you believe that should be a capital crime, let's hear it. If you don't think there's any material difference between accidentally killing a civilian or collateral damage of civilians and actively chopping them to pieces, then I'd love to hear the argument. It's very strange. Protests at UCLA with students chanting "Genocide Joe." Yeah, that's not going to last, and those people don't vote anyways. Again, I don't know why I'm supposed to be worried. These are folks who have already checked out of the system. If you're the kind of person who is going to UCLA and you're chanting "Genocide Joe" and you're saying America is the greatest evil in the world and you still live here, Because again, this is a conversation we've had about like Jimmy Dore and the like. I'm not a big fan of America, love it or leave it, right? That you can't complain or you got to go. This kind of redneck idea of America, love it or leave it. And you got to have this pristine idea about America or you're not welcome here. That doesn't make any sense at all. However, if you think this country is the greatest evil on the planet, I don't know why you are living here. Does that make sense? Like, it's not, because that's a standard you're setting, not a standard I'm setting. Because the America, love it or leave it is an external standard. Someone sets that for you. Does that make sense? They go, hey, fuck you. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. That's external. You're not responsible for that, nor do you actually have to answer to it. It's nobody's fucking business. But, yes, the greatest evil and a third world hellhole and I'm sorry, it's not a third world
A
hellhole.
ninth world country, not a third world country, a ninth world country.
Yeah, get it right, okay? But if you're setting the standard, yeah, well, there's a fifth column aspect of it, of course. But if you're setting the standard that this country is the greatest evil on the planet, that if it ceased to exist, the world would suddenly reset to, lions and lambs and this kind of rapture-esque Christian utopian fantasy. If you believe that, how could you stay if you're allowed to go? Like, there are people, I'll tell you, I know people personally that live in China who think that, I guess, from their perspective, know that their country, the stuff that it engages in Africa and some other countries, and the Uyghur genocide, which is a genuine one, they're literally breeding them out of existence, and the enslavement of people, they think that's so bad that they are, as Chinese people, they're horrified by their own government, and they're horrified by enough of the people in their country that keep that government afloat to where they believe it is a central evil. But they can't leave. They can't get an exit visa. They couldn't get one if they wanted one. The government won't allow them to leave. So I get it. So they stay home and they make the best of it, and they try to work within it to maybe make some change, but they can't get out if they want to. It's not because other countries wouldn't take them. It's because their country won't give them a visa to get out of the country. And I mean, I guess you could technically, maybe they want to drive down to the Vietnamese border and kind of sneak across and then bug the fuck out. That's if somebody, in the border region, this is not being paid by the CCP, wouldn't snatch them up and send them back like they do in Macau or Hong Kong or places like that. Maybe, right? But their belief system is trapped by their circumstance. That's not true of Jimmy Dore or Aaron Mate or Max Blumenthal or any of these motherfuckers. They set this, and again, this is a standard you set. If this country is the most evil place in the world, why the fuck are you here? And if you say it's because I have the most freedoms at blah, blah, then your whole argument just falls apart. It just collapses in an explosion of absurdity. It's just so fucking odd. And again, the logic is so shit that I wrestle with how to understand how they think of it. Right? Because again, this isn't a standard. I'm not telling them to get the fuck out. I'm just wondering why they don't. Because again, the standard is so bad. You know what I mean? It's not even people, this is well beyond even people like, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Canada. Or fucking, I don't know, right-wingers are like, if Biden wins, I'm moving to Cloud Cuckoo Land or wherever the fuck I don't know, Russia? Where were they going to go? Hungary? Probably Hungary, right? But some of them had to have moved to Hungary. Yeah. Temporarily. They went over there when Trump, or when Tucker was over there, and then they were like, I'm going to learn Hungarian's, a fucking nearly dead language. It's not spoken anywhere else, and all I know how to say is Bosmag, which means fuck. Ask anyone who has more freedoms. Let's see. how has anyone who says we have more freedoms, what do we have that German or Canadian doesn't have? Gary, we have more freedom of speech rights in the United States than both Germany and Canada. So there are more draconian speech laws in both of those countries. Also, again, gun ownership, if that matters to you, and it would to the right-wingers who would move out, that would, especially the people who are like, freedom, that would be one of the freedoms, I suppose. We have a more fluid tax policy. We do have stronger libel protections, meaning that you're protected against libel up to a higher level than you are in Germany or Canada. Our hate speech laws even have to be linked to another crime, meaning that it's if you murder somebody and then you find out that you murdered them because of their race, religion, creed, color, national origin, LGBTQ status, any of that stuff, then they can look at what you've said and do a hate speech, like a hate crime enhancement, because the idea is that you're more dangerous in general. Does that make sense? Again, this is why you have hate speech as an add-on to violent crimes, because a person who kills Gary because fucking Gary and I were in a thing, and then he ended up, that might not happen again. And the idea is that you can let somebody out I got to get Tara in here. Beg your pardon. I got carried away talking about fucking Gary. Not fucking Gary, but you know what I mean. Anyways, the idea being, if I may, and here we go, and we'll get there we go. She's almost there. One second. And I'm very excited to have Tara on, because she's I'm experimenting with her today, and she doesn't know this, but she's about to find out in a lovely way. But the
What?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What?
What's
happening?
You're going to be experimented on this morning.
Ooh.
And I'll show you. It'll take me a minute, but you'll understand.
Okay.
But I would love to hear your take on this conversation, because there's a couple of things in the whole, like, beyond the people who are like, I think, well-meaning dupes in the Palestinian concept of, like, free Palestine really just to them meaning two-state solution, when in reality that's not at all what it translates from in the Arabic, and it's not meant to be that at all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Tara Dublin, aka
Hi.
Tara Dublin Rocks on Shitter, who is proudly wearing her Biden-Harris shirt. So if anybody says I haven't seen anybody wearing that stuff, she and I both have our gear, and we wear it quite often. Had I known, you should have sent me the memo. I have my 2020 shirt, and I wear it out and about. And you know what?
2020 shirt, but it's
Nice.
obviously it's evergreen.
Yeah, it is.
So, 'cause
It's
there's
lovely. Because we don't learn our lesson, you mean?
This
so
is my fight shirt.
yeah.
Take back our right shirt. Okay, yeah.
Oh, very well.
Shirt.
I have
Right.
to say, I'm very excited about the idea that you would. I suppose Steph will let. I think you'll get a mulligan on that from Steph for being able to do that. Okay, why is it okay?
No, sorry. What?
Okay,
Do
there
what?
we go.
Do what?
Oh,
Invoke the fight song?
yes,
are we
exactly,
not allowed
to
to
use
sing
that.
that anymore?
No.
We're not allowed to
She uses
use
it
it
on her.
anymore?
She uses it on her show. So yeah, that's the
Okay,
idea.
well then I think that let's just call it a thread that weaves from
Yeah.
her show to yours.
Agreed.
Because we're still fighting. Like Ben
We are.
Folds, we're still fighting it.
I
So,
agree.
I'm gonna see how many musical references we can drop while I'm here. Let's see.
I all of them. I think that's good.
Sure. Why
yeah,
not?
why not? So, anyways, how are you, my lovely? And I do have some questions for you.
Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the anti-Semitism? Because we
Yeah.
can always start with that.
It does. It's a good bounce point. So here's I was addressing this earlier, and I'm still confused about this a bit. Hold on, let me transition. Check this out. Tara Dublin, look at this. Look at that. How about that? How about them
Extreme
apples?
close-up. Whoa!
Extreme-
Is this the
whoa!
experiment?
Yeah, this is the experiment, so that when the guests have something, if they go on a rant, I can at least pop them in there to that one. So it's the
Okay. Good
it's
to
a
know.
thought. So all right.
Great.
That said, now again, serious topic, and we need to be serious.
You're putting on your serious hat then.
Got to pay serious now. Seriously.
I don't
so
have
here's
a funny hat available. Wait a minute.
I'll see if I can dig something up, but give me a little time. So yeah, there are a couple of things. One is I hadn't gotten to the apartheid part, but the open air prison part. My only note was that if people are going to talk about Gaza as an open air prison, that they have to include Egypt in the parties that quote unquote make it an open air prison. If that makes sense, because Israel only has two sides of the three, and I don't think we're going to blame the Atlantic Ocean, but for helping to create this.
Why not?
Also,
they blame everybody else. Why not the ocean?
But you know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to take seriously the open air prison part if you don't at least invoke Egypt as a distinct partner in that aspect of things.
This is a new line of talking for me. I haven't heard this yet. So, but
what you mean, the open air prison, or I'm sure you've heard that phrase.
Well, yes, I've heard that phrase before, but I mean, I think when I'm hesitant to call it that because we want to treat people like humans.
Yeah.
Right. And we want to make sure they're treated humanely, and they're not. When prisoners are never treated humanely, as neither are hostages, by the way.
Right.
And I'd also right. And anyone who's putting out any narrative that the hostages released by Hamas were treated well can get bent over twice, because of course they weren't.
They were branded. In case they escaped, they were branded. So they all have brands.
Wave goodbye, blow them a kiss. That's what the fuck. I'm
because
so
you're leaving people
by
behind. And that, again, what would you say to the people who are negotiating your hostage release? You go, hey, by the way, if you tell anybody we mistreated you, or we see you do it, or you give us the finger when you're leaving, we're going to go right back and kill somebody they don't know we have, or somebody that's still in your family.
I mean, why not? They're doing things we'll never know about.
Right.
We'll never hear about all of the atrocities. We'll never hear about everything that people went through, and whether that's a blessing or a curse, I don't know. But what I do know is that we've covered this obviously in the past few weeks when I've been with you, that there are so many intricate details around this entire Middle East mess that when you hear one phrase, you immediately assume that it means this blanket thing, and then nobody agrees on everything. And I'm so angry because people can get outraged over the tiny things and lose sight of the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And the bigger picture is that Hamas are terrorists. And if you have a solution for terrorism, everybody would love to hear it. Because at its core, this issue, regardless of what side you're on, you should be on the side that doesn't murder infants and civilians and causes traumatic childhood events that they'll never recover from, and they'll always have PTSD. Mm-hmm. Or you should be, don't send Elon Musk to Israel for a fucking photo op. I mean, all of the things that are happening that are more distracting than providing solutions. And again, then there's the take that Joe Biden should just snap his fingers and fix everything because he's a magician daddy, which nobody is. And Kamala Harris isn't doing anything. Of course she is. And I think it's really important that when we're talking about this, that we do everything we can to follow the talking points from the White House, from the press secretary, from a source that we're supposed to be trusting. Yeah. If you don't trust the media about this, and you have every reason to question everything that's coming from the media now, because everything is so hard and everything changes in seconds. You can't, our conversation now might be negated by something that happens an hour and a half after we go off the air, and then it's an entirely different discussion. And so when you
there's
have
always new information, right,
exactly. And when you have a situation like this that is so volatile, that is ever changing, that it can turn in a second, everybody has a different thing to be mad about, and so nobody can focus on what we should be doing. Mm-hmm. And there's people are attacking in the United States of America. People are canceling Hanukkah celebrations because they're afraid that if they're they might publicly display a menorah and get attacked
Right.
over this. And fuck that. Fuck
Mhm.
that. I mean, I understand being concerned that something might happen, but preemptively canceling events is giving them the win, is giving them the power. If we say never again, we need to live it. And so the American narrative behind this is there's not one. There's not one cohesive way to look at it because everybody has their own agenda. So as an American Jewish person, I don't have to support the Israeli government just because I'm an American Jew. I don't support Netanyahu. I don't support the slaughter of innocent civilians, regardless of why you're doing it. No, I don't support Israelis being slaughtered. I don't support Palestinians being slaughtered. I don't support Hamas terrorism or anybody who funds it. Like, speak in simple phrases like that. Speak to what should be, because it's the ultimate realization of all of this. Like, what we want and what we're going to get are two different things. You can scream and advocate for Israel and Palestine to have a solution that doesn't involve the word state, because that confuses people.
Right.
That they have their land, an equal amount of land, a hopefully somewhat equal amount of land. They leave each other alone. And Hamas is like, really, that sounds cute. Enjoy that. Because it doesn't, ultimately, whatever, like Joe Biden can get out hostage after hostage after hostage. Someone will bitch about it. And Hamas will still be a terrorist organization. So, and I know I'm kind of rambling here, but it's all of these things. It's an and, not an or. So,
here's the thing. Here's my
stop.
Right. Here's my only issue with the kumbaya argument, that everything would settle if we just, stop the fighting
There's
and
no
draw
kumbaya anymore.
Right.
What we want and what we get are two different things.
Well, the also is the thing is what do we mean by, what's the Israeli state under somebody not like Netanyahu, clearly, and what's the Palestinian state under not Hamas look like? And the issue that I keep running into is, the idea that a good portion of the people who are in even in the West Bank, which doesn't see nearly as much violence and stuff as what goes on in Gaza, still believe that the Jews in Israel need to be wiped off the map. That they're just hung on that idea, and that's not going anywhere. And it's not going to go anywhere whether there's violence or not, because they're participants in the violence in that regard. So the idea is, and then again, what does that mean? What state exists? Because right now, Israel, for all of its flaws, and with and why it was such an uproar, that the only reason there was an uproar about Netanyahu wanting to get rid of the judiciary is that the judiciary there had actually some meaning. It had some worth. It could push back against the power structure of Israel, and if they decided to go off on their own or do something that was illegal, they had checks and balances put in there. And Arabs and Christians and Jews live together in Israel. There's a right of return for Jewish people to go to Israel, but not for necessarily Christians or Arabs. But you can emigrate there. You can migrate there. I think the only thing keeping you out.
You can take advantage of your birthright trip. If you're an American Jew, there's something called a birthright trip.
Yeah. You can go there and visit.
I've never done mine.
Right. But, and again, look at Mecca and Medina, where there's sort of like this like force incidus where everybody has to make the trip at one point. They must visit the site at some point. So the Saudis have a lockdown on effectively this religious tourist trap that they've convinced everybody else that they're not true if they don't go by this, if they don't, go and touch the rock at some point, and, metaphorically speaking, which is absurd, again, because I'm a big believer there are no magic rocks, or it's all magic. We'll pick one, but there's no. God really likes it reminds me of that whole thing about, like, God really likes the fatty cuts of meat. Can you leave more of those on the altar? And then you find the priests back there going, fuck off.
Exactly.
After night.
Tax the churches, everybody. Tax the churches.
My issue is that what state gets built? And again, we have I guess in the States, we have to determine for ourselves whether or not it matters that the area that we know as Israel is able to sustain a pluralistic society of that's multi-religion, and that women have rights, and and gay people have rights. If that matters to us, because it's functioning, it's not like us trying to make Afghanistan that way, for example, which I think is the other side of this coin. Israel already exists as that, right? Afghanistan did not. We were trying to bring women's rights to Afghanistan effectively the last 15 years of that conflict. That was the primary reason why everybody said we should stay. Each time was, if we leave, look what's going to happen to women and girls. And they're right, because that's the area of it. But the problem is it wasn't because women don't want to be free. It's because culturally, in that entire environment, and the 12 or 13 tribes that run that stretch of land don't think so. We do have an area like that in Israel. And you're right, Velvet Magneto says it was starting to work. It absolutely was. You know why? Because you educate women and you let them have a life. That is a ballast in a society. It adds buoyancy and health to a society. We know this, but they don't. And the Iranians are trying to tamp this down. The Iranians are trying to do what the Palestinians would do with Israeli territory if they took it over. All that stuff about women, getting beaten for not wearing a hijab or covering their head. It's not that they just want the ground. It isn't just that they want the land. It's what they want to do on the land and who they want to be on the land that matters. And that's the part that I get stuck on in this conversation of just like, well, let's just, cut it in half. We'll have half this part will have no women's rights, no gay rights. They'll be able to call constantly for the death of the other people in the group. And the other group will act like an American state surrounded by people that want to blow them to pieces. It's weird. It's a weird conversation.
Fun.
Sounds
like a great way to live. Sounds like it's not traumatizing at all for children. That's fine.
Right.
It is one of those where like you're stuck on the merry-go-round and you want to get off, but they never slow it down long enough for you to jump off of your horse. And you're stuck and you're going around in circles. And where's the brass ring? And where is the end of the ride? Because you solve one piece of it, then there's ripples and ramifications from that. So if we do this, what happens with this? And if we do that, then what? And it seems like, and I think that's one of the reasons why Americans get almost, exhausted from the constant news cycle about it, because it's this, then it's this, and it's this, then it's this, and it changes, and I don't get it, and I don't want to follow it, and I'm tired. And I think also part of it is that, in that Trumpian way, if you wear people down enough and they finally just throw up their hands and go, I'm too tired and I can't fight anymore.
Well, that's what's happened
and
to
I think
the
that's
environmental
also part
movement.
of it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, our discussions maybe help clarify things for people who are not paying full attention or don't understand what's going on, or they just want to hear somebody kind of speak to what they already were thinking, like, which the through line is why is this happening? Why does this have to happen? Why can't they just live like this when we live like this? But we don't live like that right now. We're experiencing so much violence in our own country, and we're falling apart in ways that we probably never could have predicted over Jews. Over over
again,
melanated skin, and I'm so tired from.
Well, it's exhausting. I understand. I think
that's the point, though.
Here's the no. I think the exhaustion comes from people trying to square a circle or put a square peg in a round hole. That's where the exhaustion comes. Is when your ethic and your philosophy doesn't match reality enough times, and you're having to question what your response would be, and that's what stark survival moments always do, because your civilized ideas of how people should behave and how life should go do not match up with when there's a serial rapist on the loose or that kind of stuff. Like when there's a murdering, when there's somebody who drives a truck through a Christmas parade, those kind of things. They don't match up. There are different solutions in those situations, and you go, am I questioning am I reaching the edge of my civility when that happens? And then you recognize that for you to reach the edge of your civility, a series of extraordinary things would have to happen. And therefore, because your civility is so ingrained in you. To be that way, shit would have to be so fucking bad and so like Walking Dead level that I would, that's what I would have to do to get into that, to be, all right, fuck everybody, Patriot Act for everybody, like that kind of stuff. Like it would have to be that bad. And post 9/11, I don't think that our response, at least on my side of the aisle, on the Democrat side of the aisle, was that way. I think we were all like, there's mitigatory steps that need to be taken, but we don't need to fucking set off this Project for a New American Century 7-state bombing spree that they apparently wanted to have, right? That Wesley Clark warned us about. I don't honestly think most of us knee-jerked to that. But there was a portion where people went, all right, what would we do? Strategic hits inside Afghanistan, these military camps where Osama bin Laden is, and if while we're doing that, any of these other countries like Saddam's country or any of the who still have a chip on their shoulder about Kuwait, if they decide to fire on our boats while they're in the water, then we would respond and like that was what I would call the Gore Kerry plan. That both of those were thinking of it as a international, less a military thing and more like international law enforcement, but still an extraordinary step. Still bombing a training camp of individuals who, no doubt, by the way, have, if it's Afghanistan, boys they use for sex and runners. The occasional, gaggle of, female slaves stolen from nearby tribes. That's what was in those territories, that they make their wives. They're not actually a wife. They're these keeper wives that they can sexually assault whenever they want, but they don't have to marry them because they're from they're infidels or they're Alawites or whatever the other group is. Yazidis or any of the groups that are being like wiped out in Syria, for example. For us to get to the edge of that, it would have to be like fucking Godzilla level stuff. Like the world would have to have fallen apart for ages. And again, that's, I think, people's address. But what would it take for you to just start it as a whole, saying, I think those people don't deserve to exist just because they exist. Not because they attacked us, not because, we have this vengeful, even misguided vengeful act, but because they're Jews or because they're not us. And when we see that on our side, I think, when we see rednecks yelling that shit at NASCAR rallies and bomb the Middle East back to glass and, turn the whole Middle East to glass or bomb it back to the Bronze Age or all that shit, we're notably horrified and we also mock it and dismiss it. The problem is there's a bunch of folks who mean it about the Jews particularly, have meant it for centuries. And there are a bunch of people who are kind of like, it seems like, operating as like buoyant supports of that kind of bullshit while pretending that's not what they mean.
Right, of course. And like right before I came on, you were talking about Trump and his projection language, and every accusation is a confession. And the way that they manipulate social media with language and bots, and the way they flood Twitter with misinformation, like it's no wonder nobody knows what to make of anything, because and that was and that was Elon's intention when he took over Twitter and tried to destroy it, because it was creating as much misinformation as possible so that nobody trusted any news source. And we don't know how to get to the truth, and we can't have a real conversation because people are too busy fighting over I don't know, Elon and a stupid bulletproof vest in Israel. Like, so when people begin to use a group of people as a scapegoat rather than finding a solution, that's when society is just devolving, and rather than coming up with a viable, but they're not coming up with viable solutions. Blow the Jews off the map is not a solution. Right. It's, that's not it. That is not it. And so and again, we can go over and over this and around in circles, but ultimately it is finding a solution to end terrorism. How do you do that? How do you do that when they're always going to be radical factions wherever they are in the world? People are going to get radicalized. People are going to get sucked into cults. People are going to believe misinformation and wouldn't know the truth if it hit them on the side of the head. So there is a point, I think, particularly in this discussion, where you as a human being, when you are just in the interest of self-preservation for your own mental health, you have to take a step back and say, you know what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to watch how my government responds. I trust my government as far as the people I voted for.
Right.
I voted for Democrats, right? Democrats are interested in taking care of American citizens while being citizens of the world, and Republicans are not. So if Democrats that I trust, not the Bob Menendez Democrats, the real ones who are leading, if I'm listening to them and I'm following their example, then I know they are at least acting in the best interest of our country. So,
right.
And so when
that's why I think, yeah. I mean, I think the function of this, is, I don't think there's any question. Like, I've never been more satisfied with the administrative state in my lifetime. I'm dead serious.
It would be so great if more people knew how great. Yes. But, whatever. Trump in front of a courthouse.
Yeah. The interesting thing is Biden is making smarter and tighter decisions than, say, Clinton ever did. And Clinton's actions led eventually to surplus and a pretty damn secure state. So much so that almost all 90s music was about people blaming their dad for their problems, not the government or some external force. Right?
Well, and then the other issue that we're seeing is that there are Democrats challenging Joe Biden for the... Really? You think? We're good.
Well, Democrats in air quotes, but right.
Well, but I mean, like, when you have someone like Dean Phillips, who is out there right now on Twitter, trying very, very hard to, I'm not really sure what he's trying to do, but what I do know that what Dean Phillips is doing is he is sliding into the DMs of very prominent liberal Twitter accounts, people with influence, people with a lot of followers, trying to convince them that he's the guy instead of Joe Biden. And I'm one of those people. He slid into my DMs the other night and he tried it with me. And I was basically like, a good day, sir. I'm not having it, because if I say to you publicly that I don't support you, that I only support the incumbent ticket, as all Democrats are supposed to be doing, and then you slide into my DMs to try to change my mind, I want to give full props to @Condi, she's QONDI, @Condi. She started #DropoutDean. That man needs to go. I don't care who's funding you. I don't care who's advising. Get the fuck out. If you can be connected to Harlan Crow and Steve Schmidt and all of these people who have shady pasts, I stop it. #DropoutDean is the way to go until he actually drops out, because Doug Burgum dropped out today. Did you know he was even in the race?
No.
So,
yes, I did. Right. That's right.
Williamson pops up again, right? And then we have Marianne Williamson going, I know how to solve these problems. No, you fucking don't. You pop up. The mothership beams you down every couple of years. You show up to be a distraction spoiler, and then the mothership beams you back up. Maybe you can take Senk with you this time, and also Dean. Maybe there's room for all of you on the mothership, because those of us on Earth One, we're voting for Biden-Harris. That's what we're doing. He was
100%.
bugging Malcolm Nance and Sherry Jacobus and a whole other...
Fuck out of here.
Stop sliding into DMs, Dean. Drop out, Dean.
Let me... hippie Jill Stein is what they're calling Marianne in the chat. Now, again...
Stop it. Exactly. The crystal ship.
I responded yesterday to, and I haven't been on Shitter a bunch lately because I'm, busy either on Threads or doing my own show. So I get a lot of, my content gets out there, as it were. And I'm so glad that you get to join us on the regular to try and, build that stuff as well.
So that my content might get out there instead of being suppressed by
including your book, The Sound of Settling, which is available on Amazon and makes a great stocking stuffer and a Christmas gift and that kind of idea, and also supports
You can also get it on Kindle Unlimited.
Look at that. That's excellent.
12,000 pages of my book have been read on Amazon Kindle. 12,000.
We got to get to 15,000 by the end of the holidays. That's going to be the roll. Read it over the holidays.
I would love,
get it and read it over the holidays.
I've sold 358 copies.
By the way, amazing grunge cover. I would just like to say for the record, very 90s. Appreciate it. So
right, it's by the way, that That's a guitar pick, razor
Yeah.
blade, a razor blade guitar pick with a broken heart. Perfect.
Pretty
Perfect
sweet.
for this book. Thank
Pretty-
you so
pretty
much.
sweet. So,
Everybody should buy it and read it.
Thought I'd bring that up while I was talking about how
Well, I appreciate
content.
that. I appreciate that, especially since Marjorie Taylor Greene did a book signing last night at something she called Club 47. And I'm like, Club 47 has everything. Club 47 has everything. It's got a table full of ghost-written crap books funded by the RNC,
Right.
tantric finger painting, a Mar-a-Lago bouncy house,
half-eaten
Club
Filet-O-Fish.
47.
Right. Yeah.
Go
Full
away,
diapers.
Marjorie.
So
Wow.
Marianne puts out this thing where she said she compared the DNC to the Soviet Union.
Great.
And I was
That's
like,
helpful.
well, first of all, my response to it, of course, was like, I'm sure all the people who have family members who died in gulags will appreciate the kind of slapdash reference. But also, why don't you just call them the Third Reich while you're being awful, for fuck's sake? And can I remind everybody remember that right-wing actress that got fired off of The Mandalorian for suggesting
no, she's awful.
MAGA was being, it was like being in, a Jew during the Holocaust if you were, trying to post on stuff. And Marianne said the same fucking thing. Stalin killed more people than the Nazis did, for fuck's sake. It's a dual comparison. I mean, it's closer to now than fucking Genghis Khan, but it's the same shit, asshole. Like, why would we be okay with the woman from The Mandalorian being canceled for making her stupid Auschwitz reference or whatever the fuck it was? And Marianne could just call, it's like the Soviet Union, that kind of stuff. And secondly, she does realize that a good portion of her supporters pine for the Soviet Union. Like,
it's
view
interesting
themselves as gut communists, like, it's hilarious.
Isn't it the GOP that continues to be funded by Russian-funneled NRA money? Aren't they all? They're the ones. They're the compromised Putin puppets, not Democrats. Come on, stop it.
Well,
Stop
but
it.
again,
I'm not getting Soros checks. I'm not getting
Yeah.
funded by, stop that. Stop all
wish.
of that anti-Semitic. Oh my God. If George Soros, honestly, if that was a real thing, he's owed me money since 2015.
Seriously.
Let's go.
We've been working
Let's
for free
go.
for this fuck. I think we should
Right?
we should all sue Soros for wage theft since we were promised all these checks, and this motherfucker hasn't.
A lot of things. Come on now. Where's my where's my own studio? Because Jews run the studio system.
Yeah,
Where's
don't they?
My bank. I don't have my own studio. I don't have my own bank. So, where is it? Where is it? Anti-Semites, please let me know where my bank is and where my studio is that I run, because I'm going to pay my rent after I get off the phone with you. And then I'm going to have no money to pay my January rent. So tell me how Jews run everything. Just stop.
Right.
Everyone needs to stop it,
Well,
and it's,
again, I think,
it's not your fault. We are not your fucking scapegoats. We're not.
There aren't enough of you to actually run shit. I'm sorry.
They are. Technically, there are. We have enough millions of us left. We could probably do a nice foothold in LA, a little foothold in New York, a little bit in London, a little bit in Beijing. But that's it, really.
Yeah, again, that's not running shit. Yeah, Gina Carano, I think it was
Gina Carano,
who got bounced.
She can go make movies with Jim Caviezel.
Who got
I hope they're very happy together.
Fuck, I watched Deja Vu again, the Denzel movie, and it's fucking scary.
He's crazy in that?
He plays a terrorist, a radicalized right-winger who says the Tree of Liberty needs to be watered with the blood of patriots and and tyrants. And
he probably wrote it himself.
Oh my God, you could tell he dove into that shit and started getting love letters from these fucking lunatics after that movie and went, you were the hero of that movie and they let that black dude be the hero. Fuck that. That's what's going to happen. They're dirtying up our gene pool. And that motherfucker went on a tour because that character,
bananas.
Carol Orstadt was the character he played in that. And that is fucking Caviezel now. It's fucking spooky. That guy, and again, good casting on their part, but Jesus Christ, he phoned that shit
literally Jesus Christ. And He is all of the Kool-Aid. If you cut him open, it's just all powder. It's all.
Oh my
the
God!
powder
Yeah,
of the
no
Kool-Aid.
water. Absolutely.
It's all it is. Oh yeah.
Oh, oh yeah. So there I would say I will say, like, while shitter especially is an area where the world apparently is always in the process of burning down, and that's what it means to be. Like, shitter has become a shit posting site. That's what it's for.
Is that why you called me a shit poster? You called me a shit poster at some point. I am not a shit poster. I'm anti shit poster.
Well, no, I mean, you start shit.
No, I respond.
You finish shit. You respond to shit. No, you start shit sometimes
too.
Like
the Queen Taylor Swift. I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends.
Ooh,
That's my take. Okay.
Well,
I'm on my vigilante shit. Okay.
Oh, here she is. Stop it now. Come on. Look out, son.
Don't even mess
Come
with
on.
this Swiftie over 50, honey.
Don't even.
So mother is in the room. So, but no, I don't wake up every day going, who can I piss off today? It's more like, what is that?
Yes, but
so
there is a general agreement, though, that you are a shit stirrer at the very least. You may not have actually taken the shit, but you don't take shit, so you're going to push back on the shit. And I'm just saying,
yeah, I'm always going to push back.
Even if you meant well, here's the thing. Even if you meant well and you're totally like you had a kumbaya approach to shitter, it is now a shit posting site. That is what it's for.
Oh, I know, but I'm not going to let Nazis run me.
I get it. I know. I understand.
Thing.
Yeah, no. I
feel
you could
like
argue
we could possibly outlast him. I mean, his appearance at that New York thing, the New York Times event that he did live the other day, where he was clearly, he hadn't slept. He was like sweaty and waxy and probably was on a steady diet of ketamine and caffeine-free Diet Coke and out of his fucking mind. And the best part of it, and I didn't see a lot of it, aside from telling all of the advertisers on Twitter to go fuck themselves, that's a great business model.
It is very smart.
There was a moment, because I guess that during the event they were sharing a live feed from Twitter. And at some moment while he was sitting there in his stupid bomber jacket, I liked a tweet. It popped up, and the tweet that I liked, it says Tara Dublin with the 3 parentheses indicating she a Jew. Tara Dublin wrote an awesome book, and it's like Elon Musk is on the Howard Hughes tip or whatever. It's like he's on a speed run. Elon Musk is on a Howard Hughes speed run.
Oh,
because he's like crazy, right? He's in the end stages of turning into Howard Hughes. He doesn't.
Yeah, he's going to be drinking his own urine out of mason jars and growing his fingernails out and befriending cockroaches.
Over his head, but my tweet liking that phrase popped up over his head as he's like crazy. So it makes for a lovely meme, which I have on my Twitter. But I would posit that between losing advertisers, blatantly allowing anti-Semitism and all of the other shit that's going on, losing money for his investors who are demanding that he sell Twitter and get back to Tesla. All of this is happening all at once. And excuse me, what the fuck was that super truck? I mean,
the Cybertruck?
The Cybertruck, whatever the fuck it is. I tweeted that it looked like Jesse Pinkman took Walter White's car for a joyride in the desert and then let wolves live in it, because it looks like the Aztec, but that somebody put like an extra bit of like foil around the back. I don't know, like if you took the DeLorean from Back to the Future and
when it came out,
made it one.
That's what they decided to do. They're taking DeLorean style and trying to make a harder edge version of a pickup truck out of it, because they're trying to sell a pickup truck to the wrong people. I liked it as a piece of 8-bit memorabilia. It looked like a truck from an 8-bit video game in the 80s, right? And I was yeah, right.
Exactly. That's what it sounds like when you start it.
Right.
And it goes down the street like this. It just
right. Meanwhile, the interesting thing is, I signed up for, to be on the list to get one before he bought Twitter and became a psychopath and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course,
he was always a psychopath.
Right. But before it was known in that regard. But and then the interesting thing is, in between him talking about this thing and now, it's been years and they have no production. He said, we've dug our own grave with the production on the Cybertruck, which is hilarious because they've got to answer all these orders that only half of the people want, and the fucker doesn't work. And it's got because they can't get the seams right. It's noisy as fuck. And the whole point of an electric car is how quiet it can be. Otherwise, what's your fucking point? But anyways, there is an element of this guy where, a belief that he, bought up Twitter just to destroy it. And increasingly, it looks like he was like, but I could make money off of it. And it's that kind of shitty indecision about, because if he'd have straight missioned it, just bought it and shut it down, said this shouldn't be, he would have gotten this bizarre infusion of cash into his other stuff, SpaceX and Tesla and XAI, for example. But his handling of Twitter has literally destroyed the funding and focus and the customer base, which is big industry, of XAI, of his own AI. Nobody wants to use it. So the only place it exists is on fucking Twitter, where you can go you can effectively go shitpost yourself now with using the XAI. So I have a lot of, I think that people like him are cul-de-sacking themselves right now. And that's where this is going. I think Hamas is doing the same thing. I think Vladimir Putin is doing the same fucking thing. And I want to show you something real quick. So I'll add this in here. And I don't have let's see, articles with guests. I have here we go. I still have Johnny Million's name up on there. Apologies. Hold on one second. Bink.
It's okay.
And we get this.
I need a million, Johnny.
There you go. There you go.
Bring it
so,
in.
hold on. Put on Terra. 1 second. This is a couple of articles I just want to put in there about these people, like 6 one, half dozen of another, about Putin invading Ukraine, and the group we're talking about.
That's from Newsweek?
Yeah, this is a recent Newsweek article, but this is a quote is the important part. Putin ally predicts Baltic states.
Newsweek is owned by the Moonies, so it's not really a reliable source.
Well, they're also it's just a direct quote. It doesn't matter. It's not their take on it. This is a well-known piece of information. They do more Jesus articles than any other place. This is because Julia Davis put this one up. This was from Vladimir Solovyov, that dude. He says, they rejoice the Russian Empire is expanding. Again, this is the Sean Hannity / Wolf Blitzer / Diane Sawyer in one like male asshole's body of Russia, saying that the Russian Empire is expanding. I don't want to hear any fucking decolonizing, colonizing shit from anybody who doesn't support Ukraine pushing back against Russia, because fuck you, you're a lunatic. I don't get it. It's not even like we're an empire, they're an empire. No. We are not an empire. If we were, Germany and Japan would both speak English, and they'd be the 52nd and 3rd states by now, because we would have owned Puerto Rico, and Guam wouldn't be a territory either, and we'd have kept sections of China during the 40s. Eat shit. We're not an empire. I'm sick of the nonsense, but they are, and they're bragging about it. They're all right, is expanding and express their amazement that the stupid Westerners who still can't figure out modern Russia, which has been kicking their ass for centuries, which is a little stupid because they absolutely haven't. But that's the idea. Here's the quote. Let me, and anybody who's colonizer stuff, if you ever throw the word colonizer or colonizing around, if you ever think that, you mean it, and if you're genuine in your feeling about those kind of things, I want you to listen to this. This is Russia. This is their top television show and their main people. We want the world, preferably all of it. And that's where we're going. Right now, the Russian Empire is growing back. We're coming back. The Baltics will be next. They say we're ready for war with Russia. How long will it take? About 15 minutes, which means they would just murder everyone in the Baltics and take over. Now, real quick, while I'm throwing this Russian Empire thing out there, how do you think black people fare in Russia? How do you think?
Probably not too well.
Yeah. How do you think anybody?
Can you hear Portland being noisy? Can you hear Portland being noisy?
I heard it was like a siren or something, right? Yeah. A little bit of one, right?
I got the leaf blower and the siren, so if it bleeds through, I apologize. With the windows closed, it's fine.
Motherfuckers with their whole like America's an empire and American imperialism because Starbucks can go fuck themselves, because these people mean it. This isn't. If they could do it, they would. They're trying.
They would have done it already.
Yeah. Right. They
No.
they are in the process. That's what this is about. Like the Russians actually want to fucking do this. And I got news for you. They side with they're in line with Iran and Hamas, and the idea is that, and it's not because they like Iranians or they like Arabs. They'll fucking kill them too, but they use them as a broom or a vacuum cleaner or an IED until such time as they want to roll in. The Chinese have the exact same plan for Africa. It's the Sudanese destabilization that has been going on. Remember when people used to give a fuck about Darfur? I know I hammer on this.
Oh yeah,
lately,
no,
but
I remember that. It was super trendy on social. I have a question for you though. Like, what do you think? What do you think happens when Putin dies? Because he's not healthy.
Right.
There have already been rumors that he died already.
Right.
What do you think happens to the Russian Empire when Putin is no longer alive?
Well,
who takes over? Where do they go next? What's the narrative then? Right.
Well, we talk about this with my buddy Philip Ittner, who's on the show on Wednesdays and Saturdays. He comes on with us, and the issue is that Democrats, we got a deep bench. So if anything, God forbid, were to happen to Biden or Kamala Harris, we have a lot of people jockeying for president and vice president that I would completely trust to be able to fucking do it, right? The Republicans are a fucking mess. Like, if they don't have Trump, they fall back to DeSantis. You're shitting me, right? They're a fucking mess. So is Russia.
Not after Gavin Newsom ate him alive the other day.
Right.
Governor Studley Newsom ate him for breakfast. He's still picking pieces of DeSantis out of his teeth today.
Oh, so good. I agree.
It was so delicious.
But it's the same thing with Russia. He has been eliminating anybody who could be a competent backup for him because he views them as a threat. That's the problem with dictators. If anybody, I want to say it's from Lear, but I may be mistaken. Jan Cassius has Jan Cassius has a lean and hungry look, which is what they would say.
Is that Julius Caesar?
Yeah, it is Julius Caesar. Yeah, I don't know why I was leering it.
Hey,
yeah, Jan Cassius
has
a
drama major, kids.
There you go. Yeah, Jan Cassius has a lean and hungry look, meaning that he's going to want your throne. That guy needs to be killed. Well, that applies to everybody. Thanks, Cheryl. I was brain farting. But
he can't live forever.
Right. But the problem is he has eliminated anybody who might have the ability to effectively run the country. So what it means is quick pissing contest, a fake leadership thing where somebody like Medvedev, the equivalent of Medvedev, takes over for a short time, and then China takes back its territory that it lost during the Sino-Russian War. War breaks out between the two of them. Whoever's leading Russia doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. They have social incohesion, and it falls apart, and Russia gets divided up into three big chunks. That's probably what happens in the next 5 years.
And how does that impact the United States?
We laugh.
We laugh?
We send in.
Great.
I'll tell you what.
Sounds
great.
Let's do
in our relationship with China and them trying to be a little better with us, and Kazakhstan specifically, who we have a good relationship with and borders the biggest chunk of Russia, and the European countries like Finland and the Baltic states and Ukraine and Georgia and and other countries around that basically surround the area, and the NATO countries. We would send in troops and spies and working with the UK and the French, probably paratrooper teams to secure nukes. That's what they would do. They would basically just land on all these military sites, say, drop your shit and get the fuck out of there if there's anybody even guarding them in the first place. Secure what nuclear materials exist there at all, which is probably overstated, and then let the place fall apart. That's basically it'll become white Afghanistan is what they've been talking about. That's what they've been calling it. It's just and again, most of Afghanistan is white too, depending on your view of the Caucasus Mountains and how tan white people can get. But that's just the reality of it. That's what happens.
It's a waiting game at this point. It's a waiting game then.
That's right.
We just have to survive the waiting game. Yay!
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, that's the thing is that it does, and this is an article about HAL. You say they're already setting their sights on Moldova, which is on the other side of they have this little border region between Ukraine and Moldova that the Russians took over, and the idea is that they're going to split. You're going to drop troops into there, which they don't have, and basically attack Moldova and Ukraine in those directions like that. It ain't going to happen. It's fucking lunacy. It's mostly PR, and if they did try it, it would it would engage NATO in an even bigger sense, and would totally fuck what little like support they even have in the right wing MAGA sphere over here. Would start to go, because basically they would want to wipe out other European countries and make their way to Germany, which is what they want to do. They've said it. They're just not capable of fucking doing it. It's a fantasy unless they nuke everybody and murder everyone, which is not outside the realm of their capability in theory. But again, I find it hard to believe that in the United States, after the long run of the Cold War, that when Russia fell apart, when USSR fell apart in 1991, we didn't send people in, spies and whatnot, all over the place, pretending to be businessmen, and just put fucking hard drives plugged into things that that are just dangling in a elevator shaft someplace that totally inverts the nuclear system there, that has malware on it that we can constantly update. And that if he ever hit the button, all of the nukes would just fly straight to Moscow and hit it. And like, I honestly, there were dudes talking about the ability to get in and do that shit during the Cold War. So you're going to tell me they didn't when it was over, and they still didn't trust this motherfucker, and they saw a KGB guy like Putin taking over in the end of the 90s? If I was him, I wouldn't push that fucking button, because I'd know half that shit's going to land on my head.
Right, of course.
Yeah. Other than that, I have no opinion. That said,
okay, well, no, neither of us have any opinions, which is great.
No.
So
this is, by the way,
then there's the question of how that trickles down to the GOP, which is fully controlled by Putin.
I think it's already happened. I think that lack of the NRA money is creating a panic. Remember how we heard last week that the RNC is out of money, that they're broke.
They have like $9 million or something left.
Yeah, exactly. Which is
that's it.
Dick. It's nothing.
Great job, Ron Romney. Great job.
Remember what big news it was that we had our first $1 billion under Obama. We had our first $1 billion campaign season because it split between the two. Now it's $1 billion apiece, and that's because of the variety of media and egonomics and people wanting their message tailored directly to them, and micro politics and smaller groups. It's just going to get more expensive over time.
Well, it's all smoke screen because they don't have anything. So like. Basically the other night, that was them sacrificing Ron DeSantis. They don't support Ron DeSantis. If they did, they would be helping his campaign, and they're not. They're not really helping anybody's campaign.
See, I think to some degree, at least Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity is a moron.
I agree. I'm a dope.
And I think
client number 3.
Yeah, client number. We'll refer to him as client number 3. Sean Client 3. Hannity. I think he actually thought that because he supports Trump and all this kind of stuff, but he's hung around Trump, and he knows that Trump is on a hard fucking fade right now. It's bad. When the Moms for Freedom
really bad.
have to take your hour-long sit down with them and cut it into 15 fucking minutes where you still look like an idiot. Was it one of the threesome
moms who did that, by the way? Was that one of the threesome
no, that's
moms for Liberty?
That's Moms for Liberty, not Moms for America. There's Moms for Freedom, Moms for Liberty, which is the same thing, kind of. Okay. And Moms for America, which is just like, that's a big vagine.
Oh, so that was the one where she asked him about his son, and he was like, he's a very tall guy.
He's doing a good job.
About his own son, like he's a good job doing what? What job is he doing?
Doing son stuff. Being, he's
sunning.
He does a lot of sun things. Sorry. Oh, yes. So, Boston Brian popped this in here. Oh, yeah, because this is the guy we were talking about. Hold on. Go back. Solovyev. This is Solovyev's. Putin's state TV ally once said anyone invading Ukraine would be criminal in 2008. This is before 2014, obviously. The fact. Changed. I'll tell you what changed his mind. You really want to know?
No.
He was always lying.
Really?
That was that.
So
it's almost as if I may, it's almost as if the same Hamas plan, because that was when he said that, it's about 5 years to 2014, right? That's what you say. It's a 5-year rope-a-dope, and that's what Hamas did. And in 2018, Hamas is like, nah, we're good. We'll do a conditional ceasefire. We're buddies. We want to do more interaction. We want to open up Gaza and have more interaction and all that kind of stuff. And then they attacked on October 7th. And right afterwards, fucking the head of Hamas's military wing says, it was always a fuck you. We were planning that for 5 years.
They learned how to play the long game from
That's
Putin.
what it is. That is exactly what it is. Yeah. So, and in many, so this is, by the way, the Moms for America. I don't know if I can show you. It's, where is it? Hold on, you stupid lady.
And many
Hold
people
on.
on the other
Hold on. I'll show
His
you.
voice, God.
Oh, it's terrible. You think his voice? Wait, you think his voice is bad? Look at his fucking
No, he
face.
looks like shit.
Oh,
No,
good
of course,
Lord.
He's molting and sundowning.
His
right in front
hair's
of us.
flopping down because he doesn't.
You can see right through it. It's like a nest of weevils on his head now.
It's so. It looks like
doing his
thatch.
own makeup.
Yeah.
It's like he took like he left the jar of makeup open so it got crusty and brown instead of orange, and he just kind of goes like this now.
Yeah.
Or like a Diet Coke exploded in his face and he let it dry and he's like, no, that looks good.
By the way, you
there's
notice how
nothing-
she's got momsforamerica.us because momsforamerica.com was taken probably by Russians.
Probably.
The irony. But yeah, and this is another thing too. No fire in the fireplace, no table, no, like, it's so odd. We're just going to sit open
Just like he never had
crotched
photos on his
at it.
desk.
What the
Nothing
fuck?
is real. What about the tent full of faith leaders who were praying over him?
Oh, yeah.
with the-
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
P-R-A-Y, but also P-R-E-Y, praying over him. And he's standing there like, I'm going to keep as far away from you as possible. Please don't touch me. So,
Oh, my God.
And you're praying over a rapist. That's what you're doing.
Right.
You want to
Yeah.
negate
didn't work.
everything else about him. That's fine. He's a rapist. It's on the record.
Right.
It's a real thing you can look up. He is a rapist. Judge said
And
so, jury said so.
And
It's
by the
real.
way, a proud one. Again, this goes
A
to the
very
difference.
proud one.
This goes to the difference between the inability, morally, ethically, intellectually, pseudosexually, that I don't understand why there is a group of voters that are presumably on our side, because I can't deal with the ones on their side. That's their mess. They can fucking clean it up. But on our side, who will say Genocide Joe about Joe Biden, or allow the whole like he's a crook kind of thing to seep into their conversation about him as if any of it's proven or real or any of that shit.
Right.
But at the same time, when the alternative is Donald Trump, a man who brags about, fortunately, he's been able to grab women against their consent and kiss them without their consent and rape them because he's a star and they let you do it. Fortunately, it's
Right.
been that way for him. I mean, a proud sexual assaulter, like, brags about this shit.
But
and
it's
then
just
at the
locker
same
room talk, Hal. That's just locker room talk. That boys will be boys.
I've heard women talk about dudes on a variety of subjects, ladies and gentlemen. And women can be as crass and as sexual and as judgmental as any man I have ever been around. And I will say that there is a huge difference between ladies' locker room talk and men's locker room talk, and this motherfucker bragging about sexually assaulting someone. Because quite frankly, in all the locker
Absolutely.
rooms I've ever been in, if you said that, anybody with a sister or who gives a shit about their mom or has a girlfriend that this dude's been ogling goes, I'm going to deck this motherfucker. You don't just walk up and
Absolutely.
Random chicks because you think you're the star athlete. We're going to knock you the fuck out. That's the other part of the locker room
Absolutely.
talk this asshole's never heard because he doesn't go into locker rooms because he's a fucking
No.
golfer. That's it.
Correct.
Yeah, that grumble. But the other part of it is the Genocide Joe thing, calling him that. While Biden and Blinken and two men from the State Department are negotiating the pause, the ceasefire for the hostages, are forcing effectively, I mean, as much as they can, Israel to, be more careful and more selective in what they're doing than they ever would be if they were just left to their own devices. If they want aid from us, you got to rein it in to some degree. You got to be more careful than you would be. You got to be aware of the optics
Yes.
and you got to be aware of what you're doing with our shit. Whereas, if I may remind everyone, Donald Trump, when he was in office, recognized the Golan Heights as being belonging to Israel, said the settlers should be able to do whatever the fuck they want with any of the land in the West Bank, said Jerusalem's the capital and moved the embassy. And to the fucking day, That's when Hamas went, okay, world's changed. The U.S. is just going to back Israel. War is on. War is fucking on. And that was the day they started this whole rope-a-dope fucking plan because of Donald Trump's slapdash bullshit warmonger horse crap. And yet, and by the way, his response, they would have never done this if I was there. You know why? You know why he says that? Because he would have told Israel, he would have told Netanyahu, even if he didn't like him at the time for not backing him enough or some shit or being nice enough to him, to fucking level the place. We'll help you. We'll support you. We'll just blow the whole fucking place up. There are no innocent Palestinians at all. There is no moderating conversation. None of it. No. The worst war dogs in the Republican Party would be meeting at the White House with Donald Trump to figure out a way that after they leveled the place for Jared Kushner to build a fucking hotel on the bodies of those people.
And the other thing is the way he has no concept of anything really. So do you want Donald Trump in the middle of delicate international hostage negotiations? No, you do not. Do you want Americans to get slaughtered in foreign prisons? Sure, then send Donald Trump to try to negotiate their release. That's a great way to do it because he doesn't give a fuck about human rights. He doesn't. Yeah. So, again, and I think I made this point previously, but it's worth repeating. Just because you don't see Joe Biden doing all of this in front of a camera, it doesn't mean it's not getting done. Right. And that's exactly how our government is supposed to function. You're not supposed to see it happen. You're not supposed to wave around secret documents at a Mar-a-Lago pool party. You're not supposed to offer them as a parting gift to the Australian Prime Minister as he leaves your stupid Florida shitbag estate. So the people who don't understand what's going on because they have been fed these lines of bullshit and they like a snappy alliterative nickname like Genocide Joe, who do you think you're helping? You're not helping anybody except maybe Donald Trump. But then the other thing
that's exactly
that really annoys me that continuing to normalize Trump as a candidate when he is literally going to be in court weeks before the election, if not on election day. To me, that's the conversation that needs to be more steered in a realistic direction. There's a lot of what ifs and we could do this and and pulling your ass, pulling things out of your ass. But the reality is we're less than a year away from the election. You don't really have a candidate that you're unified behind if you're a Republican, a non-MAGA Republican, because they exist. There are Republicans who are not up Donald Trump's alimentary canal. Okay. We saw that because they voted George Santos out of Congress. So those people who maybe have a somewhat, passing memory of what the Republican Party used to be are the ones who need to get vocal now about finding a real candidate for them. Right. Because it's not Trump and it's not DeSantis. So, and they both keep proving it. They both keep proving that they have no leadership skills. Joe Biden already beat Donald Trump, by the way. Everyone blows that off. Right. Joe Biden already beat him. He'll beat him again. Yep. Or if for whatever reason you want to say it's a year away, a lot can happen. Yep. Let's just say for shits and giggles, it's February and Joe Biden goes, you know what? I think we'll be better off if I let Kamala go. It'll be Kamala and Gavin. Let them do it. I'm going to take a step back. Let them. Sure, we would do that too. It doesn't matter who the ticket. We have an incumbent that everyone's supposed to be behind. That's exactly what deep bench, right?
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that
and so we need to be louder than Dean Phillips and all of the negators. Yeah. And we also need
and Marianne and also
all of those. But we also need to start talking about who the real candidate for the GOP should be, because it's not Trump and it's not DeSantis. I think it's Chris Christie. We can beat Chris Christie very easily, but he's also going to be out there speaking the truth about Donald Trump. And to me, if you have two candidates who are on opposing sides, but they're saying the same thing about Donald Trump, I think that is one way to get something that resembles normalcy back into politics. Because at the end of the day, and you know this about me, all I want is the truth. And Chris Christie will continue to speak the truth about Donald Trump. You can't handle the truth.
Sorry.
I can. I know what it is. But like our friend Dave Grohl sings in the song Stacked Actors, line up the bastards. All I want is the truth. And so when you do that, if if we have people on the left and people on the right saying it can't be Trump, first of all, he's a rapist. Rapists should not be allowed to run for president.
Agreed.
Also, if you're a person who believes he won the 2020 election, then he's actually not qualified. He's not allowed to run for a third term. Automatically disqualified. You can't vote for someone if you think he's still president now, serving his second term. He can't run for a third one. So you can push that one. But the bottom line is he is going to be in court for the rest of his life.
Yep.
So if you would like to live on Earth 1 with the rest of us and actually do something, rest of the Republican Party, go talk to Chris Christie and make him show up in more places now on camera, speaking truthful things.
Well, that's the other thing too.
It's an idea.
Real quick, I gotta say, over the last week, and we're almost at the end of the show. I want to remind everybody to get the Sounds of Settling, the book by Tara Dublin, The Sound of Settling by Tara Dublin on your
Venmo
Kindle
and Substack.
There you go. And read it over the holidays, or just buy it and put it on the shelf as a for bragging rights.
It's beautiful. Everybody loves it. They want to. People are demanding a sequel, which I hadn't considered when I wrote it, and they also want to see a streaming series. We want the streaming series. Where is the Hollywood bidding war? Let's go. I'm ready.
Let's
anyway,
go. So
back to you.
Right. What I would say on our way out is that kind of constant reminder of like the stabilizing sanity of the Biden administration should be our go-to, our touchstone in conversations about this.
Yes.
To the point of where there's so many things that are just baseline, functional, good old-fashioned governance stuff that all of the right-wing and I would argue faux-aggressive fantasies about Joe Biden are just that. They're so off the chain. I can't even describe how ridiculous most of them are.
Yes, you can. You can use James Comer demanding Hunter Biden come testify. Oh wait, you want to do it in public? Nah, we're not doing it.
Nah. Well, that's the thing is that
what does that tell you?
It doesn't ultimately matter.
The Republicans want to control the narrative. That's what it tells you.
It doesn't actually. It doesn't actually matter. You know the arguments they're making. My point is that the landing spot is look. Biden's running a very sane White House, and the world is fucking crazy around him. And the fact that he's able to maintain sanity in the face of Donald Trump and these like bizarre anti-Semitic protests and these ridiculous accusations about him and his son and Tony Bobolinsky and John Paul McIsaac and like all that shit, and Rudy Giuliani with his fucking leaky oil head making shit up and calling a sexual predator as his first witness at the total the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, that kind of shit. Like in the face of all that crazy, Joe Biden passed an infrastructure bill, and I got news for you.
Yeah, he did.
More than likely, and a rescue package and and the Inflation Reduction Act, which had more green tech innovations than any other country in the world and any in American history. So fuck off. And then the other part, the last one I will harp on this, is I guess there's no arguing with people where their arguments are for sale or they're just so bought into what they're selling that they're so into rebellion. They wouldn't know what to do with the dog who wouldn't know what to do if they caught the car. And the Republicans would answer that. Is that if you can't look at the insanity that exists on the right-wing side right now and go, you know what, regardless of what I feel about this stuff, if we hand it over to those folks, lots of people die of easily preventable things. Without insurance, without regulations on chemicals in our food, all kinds of stuff. Like they're just going to hand it over to the Rand Paul part of their brain. Stop the insanity should be the bumper sticker for Biden Harris, 2024. Stop the insanity.
Vote blue to save democracy.
That's right.
It's astonishing to me what people continue to allow people to get away with, and people should just be demanding the truth at all times. And it's frustrating even when you have people who work for MSNBC who are out there like doing the infotainment tip rather than the information tip. And it was frustrating. I don't know if you saw this, but like Stephanie Rule did a TikTok, and her TikTok style is interesting. She's like, I'm going to do this casual leaning over my desk.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, you just caught me in a moment.
Oh, the
Anyway.
cleavage moments. She's
Right, and
got.
she's
She
lovely.
knows. She knows.
She knows what she's doing, and I like her, and she's usually great. But she was like, you know, previously when presidents lost, like they disappeared, and you went away forever, and you barely ever saw them. Why won't Trump go away? And I'm like, fucking really, Stephanie? Maybe because you won't fucking stop talking about him because you created this monster.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Frankenstein says, why won't my monster behave? Duh. I mean, how much
Hey
more
there,
work do you
handsome.
want to give the guy?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my frustration. So again, like, you know, as we close this, please follow me on Twitter where I'm going to stay and keep screaming the truth. I'll be here with you again next week, but also next week, I'm going to, and I don't know which day, but I should know by Monday. I'm going to be on with Max Burns on Sirius XM Progress as a guest. So that'll be a way for me to get like the truth out there, even to a bigger audience. And
excellent.
I don't know, Sirius XM, perhaps this voice could become a regular for you.
I think it's got a,
but what I do know,
sultry, raspy, just enough. You know, it's got a nice crystalline nature to it. I think it's good. Yeah.
Plus, it speaks the truth. Like we got George Santos out of the house on Friday. Can we now do Matt Gaetz? Please. I'm tired of Matt Gaetz and his buddy Vish Burra harassing me. Really tired of it. And I'm really tired of my 2 house ethics complaints against Gaetz not being addressed. And I'm really, really tired of people.
Well, you might have to get in line because Santos is apparently putting one forward, even though Gaetz helped him. Secondarily,
but why did Gaetz help him? There's a reason. There's a connection there, and I want to know what that is.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Because if you can get kicked out for being an unethical super scumbag, Matt Gaetz meets that standard. He's not going to be convicted of sex trafficking necessarily unless Joel Greenberg basically said, yeah, he did it. Here's the fucking shit.
Yeah, he did it.
Here's the Venmo. Here's the text.
Correct.
That's why.
And there's still an open House ethics investigation into Matt Gaetz, which I really hope is the next one that they decide to make public, because House Ethics Committee members cannot comment on current open investigations, even if you have sent them information, even if you have an ethics complaint that is open. They can't tell you about your own ethics complaint, which is really encouraging. So I can only sit back and hope, because he didn't do it to me just once. He has made more than one segment on his Firebrand podcast about me and says, Matt Gaetz's nemesis, Tara Dublin, is back. Watch Matt as he trolls Tara Dublin. You are a fucking sitting member of Congress. You should not be allowed to do that in the first place. And you definitely shouldn't be able to promote it on your official congressional website.
That's right.
Like, that's abhorrent. Here, help me. Here's my congressional website. Help me harass this woman. And people do. They help him harass me. That seems to be a problem that they need to fix. Eric Swalwell, Jerry Nadler, Hakeem Jeffries. I need I want Democratic House leadership to acknowledge that the problem is not just in the House, but the way they behave outside of the House. It matters. Their comportment matters. Remember when politicians used to be respectful and would hide the worst parts of themselves? And now he's on his congressional website proudly admitting he's trolling me? That's not okay.
Right.
Absolutely abnormal. Not okay. Should not be allowed. And I don't know who else I have to scream at, make a phone call to, tweet to. I really don't know, but I'm tired of it being allowed. It's gone on long enough. Him and Marjorie and Lauren and Andy Biggs and Mark Wayne and all of those people need to go.
Right. Well, and I would argue that it is one of the reasons why I dial back and use comedy when I'm addressing some of these people. And I will definitely say that I like certain people have stepped on my final nerve, as it were, and they cross a line into such grotesqueness that it's a totally different category. There's the Chip Roys and the Andy Biggs of the world, and even the Paul Gosars to some degree. And then there's Trump and Gaetz. You know what I mean? I would even argue that Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't even in their category quite yet, because all of her
trying.
It's all but it's all performative bullshit. It's all cartoonish. Now, if she turns out to be the bomber, or Sporkfoot ended up being one of the Jan 6 collaborators, which is entirely possible.
She totally was. We have the video. She's at the White House December 20th before she's sworn in. Here's what we're going to do on January 6th. Now I'm going to plant some bombs.
Yeah.
The shoes match. Like, I have the video. I tweet the video every fucking day.
Right.
And I tag her and I say, Marjorie will never answer me about this because she's afraid of the truth. And that is totally true. But Marjorie, if you're not scared of me, let's debate. You're always challenging AOC
I
or
know.
other people to debates. She wouldn't do a debate with me and she wouldn't do a book reading with me because I'm fucking kicking her ass.
Look out.
That's what, that's the truth. This has 5-star reviews on Amazon.
It does.
They had to shut off the Amazon reviews for Marjorie's book because people were dragging her to filth.
Well,
So
well, yeah.
good
But
wins. Good
and
will
again,
win eventually.
The problem, yes, I agree. And pick up her book, Tara Dublin Rocks, on Shitter. Stick with that on there. She's on other sites as well. I'll get her we're gonna save up the beginning of the year and get you a buffer account so you can multi-post, so you don't have to.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, you can post on multiple sites at the same time.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then we'll
Sounds
set you
great.
up with your podcast. Where's Dan Ball? I haven't heard from him yet because he's a chicken poo. So we got to make sure he gets his person to reach out.
Podcast. That'd be great.
All right, we'll work it out. We'll make it happen.
Sounds good. And plus, we're bringing back Bridgetown.
That's
We're
right.
bringing
That's right.
it back.
We are.
I
We
got
are.
your
We
email now. We're
exchanged
gonna
email.
conspire.
Yeah, we exchanged email addresses so that we can
it's real
dive into
now.
this comedy.
So
Comedy,
real.
folks. That's how we do it. And I really
Yes,
do think,
buddies.
honestly, art, comedy, music, humor, social interaction, true friendships, mutual respect, genuine caring,
Correct.
that kind of stuff. That's how you do it. That's
And
how
happy
we win
Hanukkah.
this. Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
that's true.
share-
There you go. Happy
It
Hanukkah.
starts Thursday night. By the way, if you're not
Hanukkah. I am not.
Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. My mom sent me this LED one so I could put it in the window. Look at this. Look at it. First you
Oh,
light
that's
up all
nice.
the lights, and then when it's all done, then they can go like this. Maybe they could dance. The dancing Hanukkah lights, or perhaps just da 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 da. But
I
anyway,
like it.
there is a right this year, because all of your Jewish friends are getting hella anti-Semitism. If you would like to support your Jewish friends this Hanukkah, we're asking everybody to display a menorah in their window or some other Hanukkah adjacent decoration, and then take photos of it. Take photos of your allyship, and then tweet it, share it on social with the hashtags Project Menorah, MENORAH, and hashtag Only Love Lives Here.
Aw.
So it's Project Menorah, Only Love Lives Here. Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Aw.
And look, I asked my mom to send me a bigger star so that the next time I'm at a party and a man is talking to me and wants to know if I'm Jewish,
Yeah.
there won't be any mistaking it, and he won't even have to look at my nose. So, yay, anti-Semitism. All right. Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear my Crusader Cross shirt.
Do it.
Yeah. As a, because that was part of the, never mind.
This
We'll
was
get
my
to a deep history
grandmother's
lesson.
menorah, by the
Oh,
way.
wow. That's beautiful. That's
It's
amazing.
from, like, the late 1950s. It was
Yeah,
made
look
in
at that.
Israel. I've had this. I grew up with this menorah, and then
Mhm.
when I moved out, my mother gave it to me. So,
Hey, can I also, on this note, can I take a moment to wish two of my favorite Jews in the world? And that's saying a lot because I've got a lot of favorite
lot of good
Jews out
Jews.
there. I mean, I don't even get me started on Mel Brooks and Albert Brooks, unrelated
Oh,
but
the Brooks
equally
I
hilarious,
loved
and
that.
don't even, but
Watch the
and-
Albert Brooks documentary. It's excellent.
Oh, it's
Not long
fantastic.
enough.
Yes,
And it
I
doesn't
agree.
include Private Benjamin. I don't know why, but
That's a good point.
they didn't touch on that. But anyway,
You should watch
let's all wish-
Everybody should watch Defending Your Life as a holiday movie because it's good for you.
love that movie.
It's so
Love that
good.
movie.
But Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, aka Chaim Vitz, who was born in Israel, Gene Simmons, and
Yes.
it went by Gene Klein when they moved to the United States, and Paul Stanley, who grew up Stanley Eisen in New York City and was a cab driver until they put KISS together.
You're friends with them, aren't you?
Well, I would consider Paul a friend. He called
Because Gene has me blocked on Twitter.
Well, Gene's stuff to deal with, but he's a good dude. He ultimately, again, there's a standard. Also, there's a standard. Like again, there's the Matt Gaetzes and the Donald Trumps of the world, and there's people short of that. And everybody short of that, I can argue with. I don't hate anybody like that. Once
But
you
he
pass
blocked
that,
me. That's uncool. It's uncool.
well, I don't know
It's
what
not
you
very
said.
rock
so
and roll.
Well, yeah, sure it is. I guess, it's very flippant, I guess. Whatever. But the point is, they retired officially this week because the last
They
KISS show
did.
was
I
in.
saw that.
was in New
Mazel
York.
tov.
Although they have to make up some shows, so I don't know how that works. But for all practical purposes, and then they launched this like Kiss Forever avatars thing that they're going to do, where these like 3D avatar concerts that they're doing. Which, by the way, ABBA has been doing for.
Yeah,
like,
the hologram kind of a thing.
Yeah,
right?
5 years. They've been doing it for 5 years now. ABBA makes $2 million a week doing that.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna go make a hologram of myself, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, exactly. Now do you understand why Kiss released this thing this week? And everyone's like, "That's weird." You're like, "No, it
Not
fucking
really.
isn't." For them, are you kidding me? It
Passive
makes
income
total
is
sense.
great.
Makes total fucking sense. And I don't need.
Doesn't everybody love to earn passive income?
Right,
instead of
exactly. And
actively working.
Oh my god. And I'm.
Which
I'm
reminds me, I'm unemployed still. Just put it out there.
Understood.
I applied for
But they-
5 jobs last week and got none of them.
Aw. Well,
Well, writing jobs too.
I 8 of the 10 jobs I did last week don't pay anything. So how about that?
Awesome.
Yeah. So
but you know, but you got your name out there, Hal, and that's priceless.
that's the important part. Yeah, it's exposure. That's what you're looking for is exposure.
Oh, you can't put a price on exposure, really? Yes, you can.
Little
Anyway.
known fact. Little known
Let's
fact
do
before I
it.
let you go. I know. Little known
Wait,
fact
wait,
before I
wait.
let you go. My dad's
Here's
Duke.
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 Here's Duke.
Duke of purse,
Duke of-
purse. Duke of purse, purse.
Yes,
Duke
say
of
your
purse.
last words with Duke.
Okay, my dad, who's a bluegrass musician, had a band called the Buzzard Rock String Band in Cincinnati, Ohio, when he owned the only Martin repair shop in the entire country after the factory burned down. So everybody knew, he knew. That's why we know all these country musicians, because they had to get their Martin fixed by my dad. And so he had this band, the Buzzard Rock String Band, which I fucking love, and I would call my own band that. If it wouldn't confuse the shit out of each other, maybe just because it would. But anyways, they had an album. They put out an album on vinyl. There are only a few of them sitting around. And it was called Dying from Exposure, because all their gigs were free.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Dying from exposure.
That's great. Guess what? Exposure
Can I-
doesn't pay the rent.
Here's my
That's what
dad.
their follow-up-
Here's my dad at that time.
Cool.
That's my dad. That's my favorite
Oh my
picture
God,
of my
that
dad.
hat.
Yeah.
I want to see you in that exact outfit. I
That
think that would be hysterical.
that's a snake in his hand, and it's alive.
Sure. Of course it is. Did he also speak in tongues?
No, it was just a black snake. It was in the woods. He just picked it up and moved it, because my sister was scared of snakes. So it's somebody just pictured my dad, and he's just carrying this fucking giant black snake, just whatever.
Fair.
Because my dad's
So
fucking
that's
awesome
Kentucky
in
magic.
that regard. And then and of course I'm a dad, and this is one of my
Aw.
It's one of the first
Well-
pictures ever taken of me and Cam.
Oh, well, I don't have anything to close enough. But here's a picture of me and my son Jack when he was super little.
Oh,
Just have that on my desk.
you're such
that
a
on my
lovely
desk,
person.
and
Look at that.
Here's a photo
Yeah.
of my mother that my stepfather, who's a professional photographer,
Oh,
took
wow.
in Paris.
That's
My stepdad
great.
studied with Ansel Adams in the 70s. I have a lot of
Oh, that's
things to talk about.
amazing.
Anyway, yes, it is. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful week.
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah. Support
Yeah.
your Jewish friends. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we're good people.
That's right. And
Buy
Merry
my
Christmas,
book.
because of all that. Buy that as a Christmas gift in a fit of irony. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Go right ahead.
Because the season is about the highest level and the best of these religions during this time. So that's why you can celebrate
Peace
them,
on
because
earth and goodwill towards men.
that's right, because it's a tuning fork for the best parts of it. And a lot of people who try to shun these things don't understand that the reason you say Merry Christmas to folks is because it makes them act better. Because we'll talk about next time when you're with us why they did a study that people who do cosplay are more ethical when they're in costume than when they aren't.
That makes
Interesting
sense.
fact.
It's just like people are braver when they're online instead of being brave in person.
Right, but sort of an inverse, because you're more you, I guess, in that moment.
Maybe, but you
anyways,
still have something protecting you, right?
That's
You have
right.
something still protecting
No, I mean,
your
when you can see them,
anonymity.
specifically they did superhero people. We'll talk about it next time. So when
Okay.
you're a superhero
Sounds fine.
outfit, you act better.
This is
Like,
my superhero.
That's
outfit
right. There you are. Look out!
There, I'm gonna put him out there. Whoa,
Easy,
there it
girls.
is.
Easy. All right. Thanks, Tara. Have a great week.
Thanks,
See you
Al.
next
Bye,
week.
guys. Love
Bye.
the Stiflers. Bye-bye.
Yay. Bye. Thanks. Get her book, everybody. Oh, you guys are wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us today, chat room. I will see you this afternoon for the regular show. Tomorrow is, of course, the Ultimate Jam. And I am going to Wait, I'm going to drive in tomorrow morning for it, and then I'm doing my shows in LA for the rest of the week, so wish me luck. I'm bringing a lot more gear than I normally do, and hopefully Jesus Christ, I just hope I can find a place rather than the house in LA to do it, because the internet there is just ass, and I don't know why. Thanks, Lucius. I'm glad I made you laugh. No show tomorrow. But that means long show tonight. I hope if that makes sense. I go a little longer. Yeah, you know what I mean? And because I got to sing and talking in the same time zone is a little tough. So I'm doing we're celebrating a guy who booked some of the biggest bands in the world and booked it out of the whiskey. He passed away, and so we're tomorrow night I'm doing 2 Cheap Trick songs and a Foo Fighters song. I should have told Tara. It was my mistake. I'll have to send her tape of it, and then or video of it, and then Motley Crue at the end. So yeah, from the river to the sea. No. And Boston Brian rules. You have to be on soon. Period. End of story. That said, take care of yourselves, and I got to see you. My only one thing is that in fixing all this stuff, that I fixed the kidney. I guess not.
Even outside, it's packed.
Cash. Green. I mean green cash.
I agree. I'm a dope.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
They're going to be a country no more. I actually think it will not. It will be a country no more. We have to slab it.
I had a beat off.
It is sock draw. Free health care for illegal. Christopher Columbus. First new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces in 75 years. Space Force. Not since the air. Where's Dick? Hi, Dick. Do we like Dick? Yes. What? You could say it's a back door, but I call it a smart door.
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
De-engineering.
I think people saw that loud and clear.
Asshole.
Don't touch my hands because they're dirty.
He can do things with his tongue you wouldn't believe.
Asshole.
You have the ocean and you have the sun. There's something about that works.
PP2. I like her a lot.
You have the ocean and you have the sun. There's something about that works.
PPP2. China don't buy. None of you buy.
Lumpy pillows, kiss my ass. Asshole.
I agree. I'm a dope.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
Even outside, it's packed. I don't want anything that's good.
I like fighting number 2.
Even outside, it's packed.
The past wasn't that long ago.
Asshole.
Peace through strength on the earth beyond. I like her a lot.